Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Puma Podcast. Thank you for taking the time today. And before we get started, as always, the show is brought to you by Game On in Batavia, located at 214 East Main Street. They specialize in new and pre-owned games and systems repair services, and they deliver. They're the only store-to-door video game store around, so give them a call at 585-483-3019, and Game Master Jay is going to hook you up. And we didn't have a show last week, obviously. Work kind of got in the way, had a lot of stuff to take care of, didn't have the time. So this week, we're going to jump into your football fix head first. And Bills-related stuff, not a whole lot going on, I guess you could say. Rookie minicamps going on. The draft picks this year got their jersey numbers. Exciting. Derek Anderson announced his retirement. Not a quiet week, all things considered, at One Bills Drive, which is nice. I don't like big news shakeups in May. Definitely. So what we'll do is I'm going to run down jersey numbers, because I only have a problem with one of them, and it's a stupid reason, but I'll tell you why. Ed Oliver picked number 91, which is nice. I guess the reasoning of that is that his number in college was 10, so 9 plus 1 is 10, obviously. And you could look at it also that he was the 9th pick in the first round. There you go. Cody Ford is number 70. Eric Wood gave a thumbs up for that. He says his number wasn't going to get retired by the Bills, but he's happy he's going to a guy that's going to maul people, which is nice. Devin Singletary's 40. Dawson Knox, tight end, is number 88. Jaquan Johnson is 46. The safety, Daryl Johnson, is number 92. Tommy Sweetie, 89. Vosine Joseph is number 50 as well. The only one I have a real problem with is Devin Singletary being 40. I don't know why. I hate number 40 on a running back. Let's put it this way. I hate a 40 number that isn't on a fullback, I guess I should say. I don't know. I feel like Devin Singletary should be a 20 number. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe LeSean McCoy gets cut or traded, and then he takes number 25. What do I know? I don't think that's happening, but we'll see. But otherwise, we're looking at rookie minicamps, so everybody gets their first look at these guys. Everything seems relatively positive from what I've seen. Everybody's just getting some light work in. It's good to see Ed Oliver doing what he does in drills and stuff. This is just kind of a, get in, start learning playbooks, get acquainted with coaches, and kind of part of the season for the rookies. It really, they're not doing a whole hell of a lot. At least the Bills didn't put out a hype video like the Giants tried to do with Daniel Jones. They put out a hype video of him just throwing swing passes to fullbacks. It was hilarious. The Giants are so pissed. Oh god, Giants fans are so mad. Oh, they're so mad. But yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I don't have a lot for Bills stuff because it's really not that exciting stuff going on. Like you're just kind of in that lull of the season now where you're just waiting for something to happen. And OTAs are coming up. Once June rolls around, we're really going to start ramping up here. And June is coming in a couple of weeks. So we're getting there. Definitely when training camp starts, I'm going to probably be all over that. That is for sure. But for now, I'm going to nitpick everybody's jersey selections because that's the kind of time I have. Derek Anderson retiring is not unexpected considering what the Bills have in the quarterback room already. Josh Allen, obviously the guy. Matt Barkley backing him up. Not a bad choice considering what he did against the Jets last year. And then the UB quarterback signed in free agency after the draft. looks like he'll be the third guy if they choose to keep 3 quarterbacks. I mean, I don't think Derek Anderson, maybe given a position on the staff, would be a terrible idea. I know I threw this around that like quarterbacks coach could be in play for him. I would like it because he's a vet. He's been around a long time. He's been through a lot of shit with Cleveland. He's played a little bit in Carolina. He's had some success when he started there. So he's kind of been on both ends of the spectrum a little bit. It wouldn't be terrible to keep him around in some form, some capacity in the organization, just because of you want that kind of veteran presence for your young quarterback to learn from and grow. So I would like Derek Anderson to somehow be involved. But again, when you retire, you kind of want to just go off and do your own thing for a little while. So I wouldn't blame him either way. But, the team is trending in a nice direction. I like where they're going. They're getting younger at the right spots. They are getting more skilled in the right spots. Receiver is going to be very, very fun battle this year. A lot of guys are going to be fighting for their quote-unquote professional lives, let's call it. You can only hold, let's presume, 6 wide receivers on this team. I think they're only going to do 6. So, you know what I mean? There's 13 guys on the roster right now. 14 if you count David Sills, who was an undrafted free agent, 2. So it's like, and it's probably more. I honestly didn't check the roster before I get on here. But I mean, there is a lot of guys here, and you can't keep them all. So it's going to be, you're going to have to really, receivers are going to have to go above and beyond in preseason this year to really show what they're worth. Duke Johnson, I know, talked to the media, and he said that he's not, taking this for granted. He's going to give everything he's got. This is his shot. Finally, he was CFL's leading receiver. He's a guy I mentioned last time we were on the show. That he could be somebody to kind of keep an eye on, to watch out for, because nobody knows what he's really capable of. So that could be an interesting look, and you got to find some type of stability here. And again, like John Brown, Cole Beasley, I don't think they're in danger of not making the team. So there's at least 2 guys that have their roster spot set for them. So there's 4 up for grabs with 13 guys trying to vie for it. So, the deal was, the idea was, when McBean there, McDermott and Brandon Bean got these jobs and got this team together, it was to compete every day for everything. And that's exactly what they're doing. So it's going in the right direction. I really like where I'm going. Those are kind of my thoughts on the Bills right now. Like I said, there's not too much else happening, not too much that, really need to get into right now. I don't really want to nitpick all the little off-season stuff and this news. And, oh, did you hear this? Nah, I'm not doing that. The bigger news, NFL-wise, is that the Jets have fired their general manager, Mike Maccagnan, because he seemingly lost a power struggle with head coach Adam Gase, and it came to a head during the draft. So there's that. Classic Jets, it seems like. I know one of my friends brought this to my attention that it's kind of the same thing that McDermott did to Doug Whaley. Yes, it is. And no, it's kind of not. Doug Whaley hired the guy, but it came apparent more and more closer to the draft that McDermott was taking control of this team because he knew what he was doing, and he was clearly more qualified than Doug Whaley. And there was probably some behind the scenes backstabbery, I would assume. But it was clear that Sean McDermott had a specific plan, and he wanted to do it a certain way, and the Pagulas were really, really infatuated with that way of doing things rather than Doug Whaley's way of doing things. So that's why he kind of took control of the draft and did it himself, and then Whaley was relieved of his duties. The Jets, however, Maccagnan more or less steered them in a better direction the last 4 seasons. You know, he kind of got them out of the shit they were in, and got them in a better position. Got him Darnold. He may have paid more for Le'Veon Bell than Adam Gase wanted to. I think that was one of the reasons he was unhappy with it. But then it came to a head in the draft. I think it was the second round. They had a lot of disagreements on who they wanted to draft, and that's kind of where it went. And then the owner ended up siding with the head coach, and the GM was out. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's smart to have Adam Gase being the interim GM right now. I mean, there isn't too much that you're really doing, I would say, as a GM currently. I mean, you're always doing something, but there's not much going on right now. You're kind of in the midst of, like I said, rookie minicamp. So, you don't have to do too much. But there's like off-season workouts and stuff. And I know Odell Beckham, I think, left Cleveland's. Le'Veon Bell still hasn't reported to the Jets. So, I don't know. The 2 franchises that everybody was really excited to watch this year, like the Jets, fired their GM, power struggle with the coach. He's now running the whole show. Cleveland, Odell Beckham didn't show up, or left early, I should say. Colin Cowherd is making a big deal about that, and Baker Mayfield's commenting on that. Hilarious. So it's going to be a very interesting season. Just storylines everywhere. What the Giants are going to look like, what the Jets are going to now look like, new look Jets, what the Patriots are going to still do to everybody, because they always fucking do it. What Cleveland is going to do, that is going to be the big hype show this year. What the Bills are hopefully going to be able to do, they're going to be an under-the-radar kind of team. There's a lot of people giving them a lot of love. It just seems to go a lot unnoticed in the national media, but there's a few people out there that really like where the Bills are trending, and that's a good sign. Yeah, I mean, the Bills aren't normally talked about this time of year for doing great things, and they're being talked a lot about doing great things, so it's very nice. Very, very nice. So that is pretty much your football fix. Like I said, I'm not really going to get into too much Bill stuff. Biggest news is that the Jets canned the GM. In what else is going on, however, we'll give you a quick rundown. I'm going to talk about my utter devastation about the draft lottery. I will give you a quick recap of the NHL playoffs so far, the NBA playoffs so far, and then we're going to jump into the Buffalo Sabres and mostly Terry Pegula's reign as owner, because the Sabres have hired a new coach this week. So, a lot going on elsewhere other than football, so we'll get into that right after this. I'm back, and I'm here to tell you more about the incredible deals that you could only find at Scrambleman Farms. How about in there, Rick? Now, every day in May, it pays to come on down to Scrambleman Farms, because you can get any entree you want. And when you do, you can get the second entree you order for just half off. That is correct. You heard me. Buy one, get one half off at Scrambleman Farms. You know where to find us, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Located on Route 9, look for Rick the Mechanical Rooster out front. Scrambleman Farms! When you hear the rooster howl, baby, that's breakfast.
The third pick goes to the New York Knicks. The second pick will be made by the Memphis Grizzlies, and that means that the number 1 pick in the 2019 NBA draft goes to the New Orleans Pelicans.
This is what else is going on, everybody, and as you just heard, the New York Knicks got the 3rd overall pick in the draft lottery, although they had the best odds of securing the number 1 overall pick. A year of tanking, sucking, and getting rid of decent players all for the hopes of Zion coming to the Mecca is all for naught because New Orleans wasted one generational talent in Anthony Davis, and they're going to get another one. It's usually the way it goes. God damn it. Odds are Anthony Davis is getting traded anyway. I doubt he's going to want to stay even with Zion. A lot of people are trying to build it as, why wouldn't he stay? Because it's New Orleans. He doesn't want to be there anymore. You can't go through what he went through this season and then be like, you know what? I think I'm going to play it out next year. That ain't happening. The Lakers I think he's going to end up with, not the Knicks. The Lakers have more young pieces to give. Even though the 4th overall pick the Lakers got probably won't sweeten the deal. But again, they already got the number 1 pick. I would say the number 3 pick for the Knicks would be more enticing because they could potentially get RJ Barrett with it. It looks like Memphis is going to take Ja Morant with that pick. From what I've read, it looks like they're really high on him. So RJ Barrett could presumably end up in New Orleans, assuming the Knicks made a trade for Anthony Davis. So, I mean, the Knicks do have options here. It's a gut punch that they didn't get Zion, but they still have plenty of options here. They can still just wait it out. They could draft a player, presumably RJ Barrett. They could draft him. They could still sign Kyrie and KD. So that's one route they could go. I think I would almost prefer that because Kyrie gets hurt a lot in a season. He doesn't seem to play very many games. When he needs to in the playoffs, he can go off. But it just seems like in the regular season to navigate it, RJ Barrett might be a better acquisition for the time being because he could play 1 or the 2. And I feel like if you don't have Kyrie there, he's hurt or something, RJ Barrett can slide right in. And I don't think you'd really suffer too much. The other option is you trade the number 3 pick and a lot of your other assets, the Mavericks 2 first-round picks you got for Porzingis. So you get rid of all that for Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis did say that he would consider re-signing with the Knicks if they were all in on winning. So if you can get him for the last year of his contract now, get KD and Kyrie, and then somehow figure it out, you can get your big 3 in New York, and then that could be a very interesting dynamic to look at. Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, not a terrible 3. So, again, they got options. They could also just kind of stay the course, see what it looks like, build through the draft. They're not going to do that. The Knicks have never done that. Why the hell would they start now? But they got options, so it's not all lost, but it was. It was. That's why the sad music played to open up this segment, everybody. That is why. NBA playoffs right now. Toronto didn't do shit in the second half of their game against the Bucks in game 1. So the Bucks really took control of that. So that's interesting. Toronto is just a weird team to me. They seem like they need to have a bad loss to get motivated to do stuff. I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird. I wouldn't mind either team in the finals, to be honest. I really want the Bucks. I want the Bucks to do good things. Great things, dare I say. Giannis is awesome. I wouldn't also mind Toronto being there, but I feel like the team that has a better supporting cast. I know ESPN put that up there on one of their posts I saw. I think it was on Instagram. It was like, which supporting cast would you rather have? I think the Bucks looks better, but when it comes down to it, the Warriors are just the Warriors, and I don't think anybody's going to beat them again this year. There's just no way. They don't have Kevin Durant. He's pretty much not playing in this series. And Portland had a 15-point lead at one point in game 2, and they still lost. Because Steph just went Steph, and that's what he do. So, I don't know. The NBA playoffs, they have more intrigue this round than the last round, but it's the Warriors' championship to lose at this point, unless they just completely fall off or something drastic happens. I mean, all you can do is just hope for them not to win, but they are going to. All right. God, let's get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's do that. The Bruins swept the Hurricanes out of the Eastern Conference Finals, so they'll get a little bit of rest. They're going to wait to see who's going to win between the Blues and the Sharks in the Western Conference Finals. The Blues kind of got jobbed on a call in Game 3 in overtime. The hand pass that wasn't a hand pass, that wasn't called, that wasn't overturned by replay, that got the goal for San Jose. Kind of puts them in a precarious situation, but the Blues have said they've put that Game 3 loss behind them, and they're going to go back home to, well, they're already at home. It's Game 3. They're going to go into Game 4, saying that it's not going to bother them, but they are 3-5 during the postseason at home. So, I don't know. We'll see. San Jose has kind of got the benefit of the doubt for a couple of these calls, so that is cool. I guess for San Jose's sake. I really want San Jose to win the cup. I really, really do. I really want Joe Thornton to get a cup. He's earned it. And if beating Boston to do it would be even sweeter, but I hate to say it, but the Bruins are going to win the goddamn cup. They're just going to. And I hate it. I hate it so much. They're just finding scoring everywhere. Every line is able to score for them, and they're just more physical. They seem to be everywhere. Tuukka Rask is a brick wall. He's finally living up to the height. Well, not height, but he's living up to his potential that he was supposed to be. He got a lot of crap the last few seasons in their early exits in the postseason. But he's just standing on his head a lot. And normally when that happens, that's the team that wins. You find deep scoring in your team and you get goaltending that's out of this world. There you go. That wins in the postseason. San Jose, again, not doing too bad on the offensive side either. Logan Couture leads the playoffs with 14 goals. And he's kind of like the spark plug for that team. He's really just providing a lot of, just a lot, I would say, just maybe not emotionally, but he's really just like that presence where like he gets pretty amped up and everybody around him gets pretty amped up. So that is really good to see. I really do like watching San Jose play. I just really hate that they're on so late because I feel like people aren't really getting the most out of this series that they could be. I believe Game 4 is at 8 o'clock because it's in St. Louis. So it's 8 o'clock on NBC Sports Net. So you could definitely check that out. I'm going to be watching. I can't wait. But yeah, so that's mostly your quick recap of your NBA and NHL playoffs thus far. The lottery, disappointing results for me, maybe not for others. Now I'm going to kind of jump into something I wanted to do last week, but like I said, I didn't have the time. So I'm kind of going to run through it. I've done this before in the past where they've done the timeline of Terry Pegula's reign on this team, and I've added a few things at the end of this because the Sabres have now hired a new coach in Ralph Kruger, who some have called the most interesting man in the world. Coached Edmonton in 2013, was fired via Skype, by the way, if you didn't know that, during the lockout shortened season there. He ended up going to Europe. He's coached Team Europe in the World Championships recently, or the World Cup of Hockey there recently. Got him to the championship round, which nobody thought he would. He's coached soccer in England, right? So the guy is very, very smart. He's a very good communicator from what I'm gathering. I was kind of pissed when they first hired him, but the more I'm reading about this guy, he seems like he's very, very smart. And I think that could be good for the Sabres right now. And he said he came back to the NHL because he's intrigued about the potential of what he could do with this team. It's just going to be, will he get the chance now? It was clear that Phil Housley couldn't make the adjustments. I don't think Ralph Kruger is going to have that problem. The guy is seemingly everywhere, and he's done a lot with a very little. So I think that's one of the main draws of this. And he has connections to Botterill, and Pittsburgh's GM, Jim Rutherford, kind of recommended him too. But everybody that's been speaking him is spoken very highly of him. And again, he's a good communicator. He seems to be a very, very smart guy. So we'll see. He's going to have to I guess, try to get Eichel and Reinhart to buy in. I don't know why Reinhart keeps getting tied into this. Like, I don't really care about him, like what he has to say, but he's best buds with Eichel, so I guess you're going to have to care what he has to say. But again, February 18th, 2011, Pegula bought the Sabres. This is when it started, okay? The 22nd of 2011, February, he said that starting today, the Sabres' reason for existence will be to win the Cup. I'm going to skip over a couple of things because the Buffalo News just likes to throw a bunch of random shit in here too. Goddamn. July in 2011, they spent $40 million on Christian Ehrhoff and $27 million for Ville Leno. Holy shit. Jesus God. In their first season in 2012, they finished 18th with 89 points and missed the playoffs. In the middle of the 15th season for Lindy Ruff, he got fired and replaced by Ron Rolston in 2013 because they didn't do that great. And then on April 26, 2013, on Fan Appreciation Night, they announced a 4% ticket price increase. So, good for you, fans. Thank you for support. You got to pay more for tickets. Darcy Regier signals the mission to quote-unquote tank by saying there may require some suffering. On April 29th, 2013. And November 13th, 2013, the worst start in team history was 4-15-1. Sabres fire both Rolston and Regier. And they hired Pat LaFontaine as president. He brings back Ted Nolan as interim coach. And then Tim Murray takes over for Pat LaFontaine. January 9th, 2014, because LaFontaine just didn't show up to work. And then on March 1st, LaFontaine tenders a quote-unquote forced resignation amid Sabres front office squabbling and dysfunction. Yeah. April 13, 2014, Sabres finished last in the NHL, score 150 goals, the fewest by any team in a full season since 1956. June 27th, 2014, they draft Sam Reinhart, number 2. September 9th, 2014, Pegula buys the Bills. They trademark One Buffalo on October 13th, 2014, in case you didn't know. What do we got here? Doug Marrone quits the Bills on the December 31st, 2014. Rex Ryan comes in on January 12th, 2015. Murray makes a blockbuster trade with Winnipeg for Evander Kane on February 11th, 2015. The Sabres match a franchise low for losses, 51, for a second straight season, and finished last again, April 11th, 2015. Ted Nolan is fired, April 12th, 2015. 40, 87, 17 record. Dan Bilesma is hired May 28th, 2015. And they pick Jack Eichel, June 26, 2015, number 2 overall. Ryan O'Reilly is acquired in a draft day trade and signs a $52.5 million deal, the biggest in Sabres history, on July 2nd, 2015. Ted Black fired and replaced by Russ Brandon, who assumes oversight of both the Bills and the Sabres on July 27th, 2015. That was a good fucking decision. Fucking Jesus, just reading this over is like, wow, there's a lot of terrible decisions going on in this franchise. The Bills set franchise record for season ticket sales at 60,102 on August 24th, 2015. Rex Ryan can do that for you. Let's see here. Darius signed an extension on September 10th, 2015. Nobody cares. Sabres improved 27 points to 81, finished 23rd in the NHL, April 9th, 2016. September 16th, 2016, Rex Ryan fires offensive coordinator Greg Roman after week 2. The Bills playoff drought hitting 17 seasons, and Rex Ryan is fired December 27th, 2016. Sean McDermott hired January 11th, 2017. Yay. Sabres finished 26th in points and missed the playoffs for a 6th straight year on April 9th, 2017. And then Pegula decides to fire everybody, firing Tim Murray and Dan Bilesma April 20th, 2017. May 11th, 2017, Botterill is hired as GM. And June 15th, 2017, Phil Housley is hired as coach. April 2018, Sabres are last place. They win the lottery, and they drafted Rasmus Dahlin in June. July 1st, 2018, Ryan O'Reilly is traded to St. Louis. November 27th, 2018, the Sabres became the first team to lead league in points after the first 25 games of the season, after finishing last the previous season with a 10-game winning streak. Hooray. But since November 27th, they went 16, 32, and 7. On March 23rd, 2019, they lost 7-4 to Montreal to be eliminated from playoff contention, joining the 2016 Flyers as the only team to win 10 in a row in a season and miss the playoffs. And they now hold the longest drought in the NHL with 8 years because Carolina had 9 and they made the playoffs this year and they went to the conference finals. Probably should take notes. On April 7th, 2019, Housley was fired, the 5th coach fired since 2011. And May 15th, 2019, Ralph Krueger is hired as coach. He's the 5th coach hired since 2013. Now, to kind of sum it up, I don't think the Pegulas are bad owners, quote unquote. I just think they had a lot of bad advice. You don't buy a sports team and then go into it thinking you know what you're doing. Billionaires don't make their money by thinking they know what they're doing before they have their money, if that makes sense. Okay? Terry Pegula and his wife have had a strategy, and that's got them to where they are today. They don't make rash decisions, but they have to evaluate everything. Half the problem with that is that they have to talk a lot of shit over, and they like to involve a lot of people in those discussions. That could be kind of a tricky situation. Russ Brandon was a weasel and couldn't keep his dick in his pants. The reason why I got fired. So he was really good at playing that because he became more of an advisor to them. And he was already running the Bills at the time, so when they bought the Bills, it was just like, well, hey, Russ has been here. He's been here a really long time. He knows the ins and outs. So we'll listen to what he has to say. He's the one that convinced him to hire Rex Ryan. That clearly didn't work. Then once that happened, it was like, wow, whatever. And then Russ Brandon, I guess, had some pull with the Sabres. I don't even know how that's possible, but apparently he did. And you could kind of see the writing on the wall there because they were listening to guys that they liked to be around with rather than the guys in the positions that they were in. So that could kind of lead to some turmoil. Reason why Pat LaFontaine didn't hold the job very long. He just saw the kind of shit that was happening here and he didn't want any part of it. So, and then it comes back on the owners being like, well, how do you hire these people? And then they don't even stay on. Tim Murray being hired as GM, I felt was good because he was good at finding talent, but it was a lot to blame here. Getting Robin Lehner, yeah, now it looks like stupid that he got rid of him because he was just terrific for the Islanders this season. But again, the guy was battling bipolar disorder and alcoholism. Like, he's an alcoholic. And the Sabres seemingly didn't do anything to help him out there, or nobody saw any warning signs. He went to the Islanders. He kind of admitted that he had a problem. He's been dealing with all this stuff. They got him the help he needed and completely turned his life around, basically, as one would expect it would. When you get the help that you need, you tend to do better. So, again, the Sabres failed him there just as a person, not even as a player. They failed him there. Ryan O'Reilly, I feel, is the exception to this because he came out and said he lost the love of the game by losing this much. I still feel you can't keep the guy that says that and have him be your highest paid player, a quote-unquote leader on your team. You cannot keep that. You had to get rid of him, and they did. They got rid of Evander Kane because he was just the talent they had to get rid of at the time, and they're going all in with Eichel and apparently Reinhart. Everybody knows my feelings on Reinhart. I still don't think he's this upper-tier talent that we should be building around. If anything, we should try to move him, but that's me. But Eichel's the guy, so now it kind of brings us here. You can't keep firing coaches and bringing in new ones every 2 years. Again, like I said, the 5th coach hired since 2013. That's ruining development for a lot of young players. Rasmus Ristolainen being probably first on that list. Eichel is the guy that has the raw talent that's just that good regardless of coach. Reinhart, I don't think is that good. He needs a coach to kind of tweak it a little bit. Ristolainen is going to be the same way. Dahlin, I think he's going to be a good player regardless of coach, but he could use somebody that understands what he's going through, and that should have been Phil Housley, but it wasn't. Now you're going to get Kruger, who is a good communicator and a very smart guy, so I think he's going to understand the situation and put them in better positions to succeed. But then it just comes down to the talent Botterill's trying to get. But Botterill is a methodical builder. He did it with Pittsburgh. So again, like, I hope everybody doesn't expect a quick fix on this, because it's not going to be a quick fix. It's just not going to be. So you have to taper expectations, but you don't want to be last in the league. So they were, seventh worst team in the league this year, I think. And if it wasn't for that 10-game winning streak, they probably would have gotten a top 3 pick. I believe that. So now you're looking at it like, what do you do? What do you do from here? You're going to get the 7th pick in the draft. Honestly, I would hope they trade that. But the biggest problem for this team is that they don't hit on draft picks. They just don't hit on draft picks. Every pick past the first round never seems to land with this team. They're in Rochester for a little while, and then they're traded away. Or they come up, they don't do well, and then they're gone. I mean, I think Mark Pysyk was the last guy drafted after the 2nd round that stayed on this team the longest. And then he was traded to Florida because he just wasn't, quote-unquote, reaching his potential. And then he goes to Florida, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, Mark Pysyk is a really steady defenseman. I can't believe the Sabres gave up on this guy. I don't know. I just don't know. There's just no winning with this team. I swear to God. I swear to God. All right. But now I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what it looks like with this team. The Bills, like I said in the open, are trending in the right direction, and that took a few years. The Sabres are taking much longer, and I really hate that it's taking this long, because this was the team that they bought first. But I think it's easier to turn around a football team than a hockey team, because it's such a long season and such a grueling process, and there's a lot more working, a lot more moving parts on a hockey team, because you got your minor league team, you got to find line combinations that work, you need quote-unquote chemistry. Football, it's like you find your franchise quarterback, all the rest seems to fall into place. You find a quarterback that can manage your offense, you can survive. Bills made the playoffs off a quarterback that can manage an offense, barely manage an offense, but manage the offense. Now they presumably got their franchise quarterback. Now they're going all in. So I think it's a simpler fix in football than it is hockey. But hockey-wise, it's like it shouldn't have taken this long, and it should have never gotten to this point. But here we are. But that is what we're looking like for the Sabres. NBA draft lottery, again, real quick. The picks, 1 through 30 as it stands right now, as the lottery shook out. Like I said, 1 is New Orleans, 2 Memphis, 3 New York, 4 Los Angeles, 5 Cleveland, 6 Phoenix, 7 Chicago, 8 Atlanta, 9 Washington, 10 Atlanta from Dallas, 11 Minnesota, 12 Charlotte, 13 Miami, 14 Boston from Sacramento via Philadelphia, 15 Detroit, 16 Orlando, 17 Brooklyn, 18 Indiana, 19 San Antonio, 20 Boston from the Clippers via Memphis, 21 is Oklahoma City, 22 Boston, 23 Utah, 24 Philadelphia, 25 Portland, 26 Cleveland from Houston, 27 Brooklyn from Denver, 28 Golden State, 29 San Antonio from Toronto, and 30 is Milwaukee. So that is your NBA draft lottery shakeout. That's what the draft picks look like right now. Once the season's over with, get closer to the draft, you're going to see a lot of these picks being traded, I'm sure. Quick programming note, well, not programming note, but some other stuff to look for this weekend if you are so inclined. The Preakness is Saturday. The Kentucky Derby had a very controversial finish. It was a replay that disqualified the winner, and then the long shot that filed the claim ended up being the winner of the race, so it was chaos that ensued. Neither of those horses are running in the Preakness, so there's not too much of a storyline perspective there, but still, Preakness is a fun race to watch. You could still make some money on it if that's the way you're looking to go. The superfecta, mind you, for the Kentucky Derby, since that long shot won, was $52,000. Anything can happen. WWE is concerned, Money in the Bank is Sunday, in case you guys want to watch that. But Game of Thrones series finale is also Sunday. So we'll see. If you're one of those morons that signed the petition to remake Season 8, you're a dumbass. It's not the perfect season, but it's the one you're going to get. They don't have the source material from the book, so they're kind of just making it up as they go, and they're trying to just do it more for TV and wrap up storylines than they are actually trying to follow the arc of the books. That's kind of why the season's dragging, and they're just doing a lot of knee-jerk reactions to things because that's just the way they're doing it. So I don't know. Is what it is, I suppose, but that's where we stand. Anywho, that is what else is going on. A reminder, you could read blogs and hear each episode of the Puma Thoughts podcast on the website pumathoughts.blogspot.com. You can like and share Puma Thoughts on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Puma Thoughts. You can follow the show on Twitter @Puma Thoughts or follow me @Puma585. You can also listen to the show on SoundCloud. Go to soundcloud.com. Search for Puma585 or Puma Thoughts. Either way, it'll take you to me. And you can also find the show on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search for Puma Thoughts, find the logo, ring the bell, get notifications every time a new episode is posted. And that is all I got for you this week. Have an awesome day, everybody. I'm out of here.